All right, welcome. Today we're going to dive into a single really powerful word from the ancient Buddhist texts, Virāga. Now, it's a concept that gets translated in a few simple ways, but it actually holds a key to the entire path of liberation. So what does it really mean?
Okay, let's get right into it. When we hear Virāga as dispassion or maybe detachment, it can sound a little cold, can it? A bit sterile. But the real game changer, the real insight, comes from another meaning, fading away. And that, right there, shifts our whole perspective. It's not about forcing things out of your mind. It's about watching their intensity naturally and gracefully just subside.
So, how can we get a real feel for what this fading away is actually like? Well, the best place to start is where it's a tangible, lived experience inside the practice of deep meditation, or what's known as jhana. This isn't just some abstract theory, it's something people actually feel happening. So I want you to imagine reaching a state in your meditation that's just filled with this intense, joyful, almost electric energy. The texts call this piti, or rapture. It's a really powerful and wonderful milestone on the path, but, and this is absolutely key, it's not the final destination.
And this is exactly where Virāga makes its entrance. And it's a little bit of a paradox, you know? To go deeper, the path requires the Virāga, the fading away, of that exact same rapture we were just talking about. You have to be willing to let go of that high-energy excitement to find a more profound, stable stillness.
So the crucial point here is that this is not about losing something good. Not at all. Think of it more like a refinement. The loud, energetic joy of rapture fades, and in its place, something even better emerges. A much deeper, more stable and embodied happiness. A quiet, pervasive sense of well-being that settles over you.
Okay, so we've seen how Virāga works in the very specific context of meditation. Now let's zoom out and see how this very same principle of fading away is really the guiding principle for the entire journey towards liberation.
The texts lay out this path as a really clear, logical progression. It's almost like a domino effect. It all starts with nibbida, or disenchantment. Now, this isn't sadness or cynicism. It's that moment when you see the unstable, unreliable nature of things so clearly that your intense fascination with them just cools down. And it's that cooling that directly gives rise to Virāga.
And this right here just perfectly illustrates that chain reaction. Disenchantment leads to dispassion. And dispassion, that fading away of clinging, is what allows for cessation, which then culminates in the ultimate peace of nibbana. You can see how Virāga is the essential bridge that gets you from one to the other. And you know, the texts are super clear on this point. They draw a really sharp line between what leads to Virāga and what doesn't. Getting all tangled up in abstract philosophical debates about the universe? Nope, that's not going to do it. But directly seeing the Four Noble Truths for yourself, now that is the path. So now we're getting to the absolute heart of it all. Why is this fading away so incredibly important? Well, because its ultimate purpose is nothing less than the complete and total end of suffering. You know, the third noble truth famously states that there is an end to suffering. And when the texts get down to defining exactly what that end is, the word Virāga is sitting right there, smack in the center of the explanation. And there it is. The very definition of the end of suffering is the remainderless fading away of tanha, that relentless thirst, that constant craving that just drives our lives. And listen to that specific language. It's not a violent destruction. It's asesa Virāga, a complete and total fading away until not a single trace is left behind.
So, how on earth do we achieve this? It's all through insight. The texts tell us that all of our experiences, pleasant, painful, neutral, it doesn't matter. They all share one fundamental quality. They are Virāga Dhamma. They all have the nature to fade away. Just think about that for a second. When we can truly see this, directly and consistently, our compulsion to cling to them just naturally starts to fade away too.
So you might be wondering, is Virāga just something that passively happens to you? Not at all. The final crucial piece of this puzzle is understanding Virāga as an active, intentional practice that you cultivate.
In fact, the texts give us a list of perceptions to actively develop, and look what's on it. Right alongside the perception of impermanence and not self, we have Virāga Sanya, the perception of dispassionate self. This shows us it's not something we just sit around and wait for. We are meant to actively train our minds to see the fading away in everything.
And believe me, this is way more than just a mental exercise. The texts are clear. Actively cultivating this perception is what leads to the destruction of the asavas. You can think of these as the deep-seated mental pollutants, the really deep-rooted biases that keep us trapped in suffering.
This phrase appears again and again in the texts, kind of like a chorus that summarizes the entire spiritual journey. You see things clearly, which leads to disenchantment. That disenchantment allows passion to fade, and it is through that fading, through Virāga, that the mind is finally truly set free.
So in the end, Virāga isn't some cold, empty nihilism. It's not about being emotionless or detached from life. It's the profound, unshakable peace that arises when the fever of wanting, of grasping, and of resisting finally cools and fades away on its own, leaving the mind clear, bright, and completely free.